Hi, I'm Robin and welcome to Well Conceived Business. We help online business owners within health and wellness to create a business and life that is not only well paid, but well lived. Here you'll find honest and refreshing conversations about what it takes to create a business around your life, what healthy hustle looks like, as well as insights and tips on growing your audience, your signature program, your profit, and your peace. Ready? Let's go. Hi, and welcome to Well Conceived Business. I'm so excited to chat with you this week. And I really am speaking today to anyone in online business who is at kind of that $10,000 to $50,000 mark. And even maybe you have winged it, you've taken massive, messy action and you have got to $50,000, but you're like, man, I'm chasing that magical six-figure mark. I'm kind of even speaking to you as well. And what I'm doing is talking about 7 things you need to do to move past $50,000 per year. In my honest opinion, if you have a business that primarily works online or as a service provider, and also especially if you only have part-time hours to commit to your work. So let's take a look. If you're planning for 2024, like if you're already executing for 2024 and you're like, you know what, dog with a bone, I want my service-based business to reach $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, then this is the episode that I want you to listen to because we're going big picture. I'm talking about big concepts today, what that's going to look like and what may need to change for you to reach that next level. And if you haven't listened to last week's episode, highly recommend that because I'm talking in that episode about how to pivot and move with the market. And that's going to be especially relevant to you if 2023 was not the year that you thought it was going to be, right? So if that's where you're at, then listen to that episode, take notes. I talk through 6 really big ways that I believe the market has changed and how you can lean into that. But today's episode is 7 things you need to do to move past $50,000 revenue. As I said, maybe you're at $100,000 and gunning for $200,000, whatever that looks like. Maybe you're at $50,000 and hoping for $100,000. My hope and my intention is that as you listen to today's episode, there's at least 1 or 2 things that you know deep inside your bones to be true, but then someone, i.e. me, says it out loud to you and you're like, okay, yep. And I want it to hit home for you. Because as I'm sure you've heard the phrase, what got you here won't get you there. And that's so true in terms of reaching the next level in business. The first $50,000 to $100,000 in business is messy. It's about bold action. It's about bootstrapping. It's about like plugging things together. It's hard work, right? And then you start to get some traction and you try to move past that number. And I've been there. You try to move past that number and it feels impossible. Like it just feels like you're treading water and things break. You start getting burnt out. It's just not sustainable. So tune in today to what you need to do in order to get to that next income level, regardless of what's happening with the economy, because I promise that it's possible for you. And these are the exact things that we work through in the Well Conceived Mastermind. We are on the waitlist. The waitlist is open now, so you can jot your name down on the waitlist if you want to hear details about the mastermind. You can go to launcheasylife.com/mastermind. You can put your name down. As soon as we get close to doors opening, we will send you through an invitation to join. However, I would highly encourage you, if you're like, I'm interested in this, to make yourself known to me on Instagram. Come and have a chat with me. If you wanted to book a discovery call with me to chat further about how I might be able to support you, whether it would be the right fit for you or another program, you're most welcome to do that with me. But head to launcheasylife.com/mastermind and then make yourself known on Instagram, especially if you would like a spot. We're more than 30%, I think, if my maths is correct, taken. So, we only start in March. So we don't have many spaces, right? So put your name down, make yourself known if you definitely know that you want a spot, or if you're kind of on the fence and you're like, oh, well, I might want a spot.
So, here are the 7 things that you're going to need to do in order to reach your next level in 2024. Number one is you need to invest. That can look like a lot of different things, although in this capacity, I'm not really talking about time. I feel like time is the biggest commodity that we have in those early days. Even if you have only a tiny little bit of time, really, it's about putting in the hard yakka and putting in the work. You have to show up in the early days. You cannot grow a business posting 3 times a week or 3 times a month on Instagram if you're just starting out. Like, it needs to be this consistent presence, or you need to get really, really savvy and invest a good amount of money straight out of the bat on things like Facebook ads. It's either in the early days, it's literally either time or money, or in all ways. But in the early days, it's usually more time. As you start to get to like that $50,000 mark or even $20,000 and above, we start to look at, okay, well, how can I leverage my time better so that I don't burn out? And maybe that looks like investing in support for your business, investing in ads. And as I said last week, building your audience all organically, in my opinion, is not a badge of honor. Like, it's a badge of burnout. Ads are so crazily effective. And people, we talk a lot in the Well Conceived Mastermind about investing in ads. And the concept of, like, if I told you that you could put in $500 and Facebook ads would return to you $1,000, if you went to a casino and someone said, like, put this in and there's like a 70% chance that you will double your money, you'd be like, hell yes. But yet we go to the casino, we drop money knowing that it's so rigged against us and it's highly likely to not. We get, the Well Conceived Mastermind as an example. It's a $5,000 investment. It's for you if your business earns $20,000 per year, right up to $250,000 per year, and you're wanting to scale to six, multi six, up to $500,000 in revenue, right? The mastermind is a $5,000 investment, which some people have never spent that much before, right? And that can feel like a real shock. But then when we break it down, it's like 10 more online course sales, which of course is doable, especially if you're investing in ads, if you're learning strategies that are more effective, you're having somebody else audit your sales page. If you double your conversion rate, if you're already getting 10 people into your course each cohort and your conversion rate is 1%, and then you have someone audit that sales page and then it converts at 2%, it's like one day's work and you've doubled your profit, right? So when we get into those later stages of business, right, I guess kind of like a teenage business, equation really shifts from, I'm just going to put in the hard yards, I'm going to put in the hard yakka, I'm just going to head down, bum up, take messy action, just put stuff out there. Honestly, that is so much of what it takes in order to get from 0 to 20, 0 to 50, even 0 to $100,000. Like, put stuff out there, put out lots of content, put out offers, right? Put out sales pages, put out launches. Putting stuff out there is what creates the success. But then once you get to a particular level, it's about, how do I leverage that? How do I get better at that? And sometimes it's really hard to do that and to have that outside strategic perspective when you're doing it all on your own. And I know this because I've tried this and failed at this. And even last year, I finished up a mastermind with a really great mentor, Ange Henderson, who was my mentor for 1.5 years. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to join another mastermind. My time is so precious. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to lean into a few online courses in specific topics that I want to learn about. And full disclosure, I did take online courses and learnt a lot from specific online courses, but I really needed that strategic coaching support and that community. Oh my God. So you all know, I'm sure you've heard the story of why I launched my business in 2018, but within 6 months I went back to corporate. And the main reason, it wasn't revenue, wasn't online business, like in terms of the way the business was working, it was because I was so lonely. And I was working with a life coach at the time, and she was like, yes, meaningful human connection is in your lifeblood. And whilst since COVID, I can happily sit at home where I couldn't really do that in 2018. I needed to be out and about. I needed to be in people's faces where I needed to get out of the house. Now I quite happily love being at home in the day, working by myself, having that peace and quiet. Like I couldn't do that in 2018 before COVID. But what I really missed was that strategic business advice and that community, so much so that I then joined another mastermind from October because I needed it. And, I kept thinking to myself, well, I know marketing, I know how to do this, but it's like the shoemaker's children have no shoes. But it's also about like, why does everything need to be filtered through a lens of one? Well, I don't want to do that. I want people's opinions. I want to chat through struggles that I'm having. I want to cry. I cried on my last seat call because of some internal like stuff that was happening. And I want that. I don't want to exist in I love having a business of one, or we've got me and my two virtual assistants. But I also really love having that community and having people around me. The mastermind that I'm in at the moment, everyone's in a similar niche and everyone's at a similar kind of level in terms of business. Although some of the ladies are completely inspirational. They have like $1 million businesses, and I'm not quite there yet. But I always want to be the dumbest in the room, so suits me just fine. And of course, investing is stretchy. I still to this day, I'm investing thousands at the moment into Facebook ads for our pre-launch campaign for Launch Easy Life. And I still am like, oh, Nelly, like, let's invest, like hundreds of dollars per day into Facebook ads. And there's always still this thing of like, oh, what if it doesn't work? I invest in mentorships. And at this point, like I spend 5 figures in US dollars on mentorship. And of course, it is stretchy. I always invest for where I want to go, not to where I am right now. And it's true for mentorship, it's true for advertising, it's just true for growth. Like if you invest for where you're at all the time, you will stay where you're at. I firmly believe that in my bones. So I always invest for where I want to go. But my time is so precious. I don't have a lot of time at the moment. I support my husband's business. We're about to do a renovation. I have 2 children who have, need my love and attention a lot. And we pride ourselves on having a family dynamic that includes that. I want to exercise. I want to have time for health and fitness. So my time is really precious. Therefore, I choose to happily and readily invest in my growth. That doesn't mean I have poor profit margins. I take like 40% as owner wages still in my business. But I readily invest to get to the next level. Number 2, you need to see what others are doing from the inside and stop looking from the outside. Now, I say this with a little disclaimer, which is possibly going to be controversial advice, but do have a swipe file, right? If you want to sign up for webinars to see what's happening in the market, sure. If you want to look at other people on Instagram, save their ideas, cool. If you want to sign up to people's email sequences and be like, what is this person doing? Cool. It's called a swipe file. That is how you stay ahead of the market and in touch with the market. But too many people are sitting there watching webinars and thinking that that is the end of the story. They're sitting there looking at people's followers, but have no idea of the back end of their business. You cannot see the success or lack thereof, even of a business looking from the outside. You don't know how many email subscribers they have. You don't know, like they may be advertising on Facebook, but what's their cost per lead? Right? They might be just losing a bunch of money on Facebook ads. They may have a $100,000 launch, but they spent $99,000 getting those people. Like you don't know the statistics from the outside. They might have a really poor conversion rate. You don't know what their email open rates are. You don't know the back end details. They might have 6 figures, 7 figures in revenue from promotions and products that you don't even know about. You may have like a mastermind, for example, that has such a high rate of returning members that it doesn't really matter. You don't need to promote that much to outside people, right? So you can't really see a lot, or you can see maybe 30% of the picture looking from the outside in. So if that's what you're relying on for someone else's business, like you don't know what their conversion rates are for their webinars, the best statistics are on the inside, right? When someone shares their strategy with you. So whatever that looks like for you, maybe you do join something like a mastermind. Maybe what you do is start a peer-to-peer group and invest in community and collaborations with other people in your industry with similar audiences. But if what you're doing is making decisions based on just copying other people, you are going to struggle in the market, particularly if you want to get to the next level. You also need to innovate. So when, across my 25 years in marketing, I have had so many people copy me, like straight up just copy and paste stuff, copy and paste emails, copy and paste. We used to have a document called the prospectus, and people would straight up like copy the layouts and everything from that document. And I would always be like, some people get really shirty about it. I reach out to people, like I've had very successful people within fertility, for example, straight up copy Instagram posts as their own, and they're very well known, like with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And I've reached out and been like, that's not cool. Like, check your stuff, check with your social media manager before you post shit that's just straight up copied from people. Like, at least change a few words. So I have reached out to people and been like, hey, heads up. But also, people can see where you've gone, not where you're going. So that's another reason why it pays to get on the inside and have insider conversations with people, whether that's in a paid or non-paid capacity. If you want to reach the next level in your business, it's not going to come from just spending all of your time investing in the stuff that you can see from the outside, because that is literally potentially 30% of their revenue, 40%, 50% of their revenue, and like 30% of the metrics that will make or break their business. It's not going to give you the answers that you need in order to invest and improve your business. Number 3 is you need to be a leader, not a follower. So you can 100%, like kind of similar to the one above, you can 100% start your business and be like, this reel worked for this person. I'm going to, retweak that and do it for my business. You can look at, oh, this like popped off on somebody else's account. I'm going to do that for my account. And there's definitely formulas that work in business. But on the same token, if you want to stand out, so let's pretend that, again, I'll come back to a fertility example because this is what I know. If you're a fertility life coach, stop copying what other people are doing if you want to get to the next level. Start using that critical thinking, or stop being scared of ruffling a few feathers by having an opinion. You're allowed to, I used to say that in my webinar, for example, I used to say, like, stop meditating. For a third of people, they find that meditating is actually more stressful or more trauma inducing, and it's a true statistic, than non-meditating. And everyone relies on actions in order to, help us survive things. But the reality is that once you've already had the thought and then had the feeling, you're too far gone, right? So I would be like, forget meditation. Yeah, cool. It can help you regulate your nervous system, but it's not the full picture. It's like 20% of the picture. What you need to do is focus on metacognition. And then I had someone who was in our mastermind be like, oh, is meditation wrong? I was like, no, but that's me having my opinion. If meditation works for you, if it's really great for you, rock on and start positioning it and content and messaging around that topic and appeal to the people for whom meditation may work for and mindfulness may work for. So you need to be a leader. You need to have your own opinions. You need to be innovative in what you provide. So stop copying people's ads, like people's opt-ins, people's emails. There comes a time in business where that's not going to lead into your success. It's actually probably going to lead back into whoever you copied success because you're sounding like them and they're obviously like a couple of steps ahead of you. So there comes a point when you need to say, okay, I'm going to lean on my own 2 feet. I'm going to have an opinion. I'm going to grow some ovaries and do this on myself and be a thought leader rather than a follower. Number 4 is you need to know your numbers. So again, and I did started doing this far too late. If you want to reach the next level of your business, you are going to have to lean into your numbers. You're going to need to know your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet. You're going to need to know conversion rates. You are going to need to know like number of leads required times conversion rate equals this many sales equals this much profit. You need to plan it. You need to know it. We in Well Conceived Mastermind, like we go through, this is 2024 planning. This is your planning document where we go through and we say, right, what do you want to make? You want to make $60,000. Cool. What offers are you going to sell? What does that conversion rate look like? What do those leads look like? What is the plan for getting those leads? And we work through strategy, not like wishes or winging it. And you can 100% have wishes and winging it in the beginning of your business, but then there comes a time when you actually need to get a little bit more strategic with what you're doing, and you're going to need to start knowing your numbers. And if going evergreen, I've talked to a lot of or not that many, a handful of course creators last year who are like, I've got a course, it's done okay. Now I'm ready to scale it. And part of that is to go evergreen. So you would never start an online course as evergreen. You would validate it, which is what we teach in Launch Easy Life, and then live launch it a few times. And then if it's working, if the conversion rates are there, if everything is working fine, then you move to evergreen. Spoke to several, somewhat advanced practitioners in business last year who talked about going evergreen. And if you want to go evergreen in your programs and your products, you need to know that even more so. And evergreen takes time to optimize. So it's this kind of slow-ish process of taking what has worked for you through live launches, really shifting the content and messaging that you put out there, but then really being a ninja with numbers and tracking that really regularly, being really on top of tracking that. You need to know your numbers and be on top of your bookkeeping if you want to reach the next level of business. Number 5 is you need to be consistent. And I say this tongue in cheek because, we're going to talk about the highs, lows, and lessons of business next week's episode. This has been my downfall in 2023. And to be honest, I've been a bit hit and miss here and there for a while, although not in the podcast. I'm like a weekly podcaster. You will never find me not being consistent on my podcast. And I'm a huge freaking believer of being active on your podcast and publishing episodes weekly. And there's a nuance to podcasting, which I will talk about in other episodes, but it's a hugely high return on investment activity for me in my business. But on Instagram in 2023, oh my God, wildly inconsistent, but I felt it. I felt it in my growth. I felt it in my leads. I felt it in my sales. And the reason for that was because I was running multiple Instagram accounts. And oh my goodness, the relief to now have one Instagram account that I can be largely consistent on. I cannot tell you it's the business. And one of my big goals for 2024 is to be consistent. People do not want you to drop in when it's a launch and then drop out, or just ghost people for 2 months and they're like, sorry. Likewise on things like podcasts. If people have come, there's a space for having a break, for example, over Christmas. We did that. We took 2 weeks break off this podcast. There's space to allow for that, but I'm really not even a huge fan of like seasons in podcasts. Like here's season 1 and once a year you do a season of 8 episodes. I'm not even a fan of that. I'm a fan of consistent weekly, even twice a week episodes, so that people can expect that consistency and that regularity in which they will hear from you and you'll build trust and a relationship with them. Ditto with emails. So again, a huge goal for us moving forward. is to be really consistent and really active on our email list. You need to start being consistent, and particularly around the concept of not dropping in when you're in a launch and then dropping back out again. Number 6, this is kind of like listen to last week's episode, but you need to move with the market. So what got you here will not get you there. The market has shifted really quite significantly over the last 12 to 18 months. What works now is not the same kind of thing that worked before, but you still have to have a really good understanding of how business and profitability works, because otherwise what I see happening is a lot of people starting and launching things that are not designed for profit. So what will happen is you'll have some things that take off that might be doing okay that are purely about vanity metrics and not about profitability. So really leaning into trends in the market and circling back to last week's episode to really look at what those were in order to see success in your business. The market never stays static. You cannot do the same thing and then 20 years later still be doing the same thing. You can have bare bones and behind the scenes the same, but there will be tweaks, pivots, bells and whistles that you add to your marketing, your content, your offers, your business strategy as you go along in order to move with and thrive with the market and in order to reach the next level of success in your business. Number 7, you need to replace messy action with streamlined systems and thoughtful planning. And I feel a little bit like this has been the theme of the episode, but you cannot just throw caution to the wind and be like, oh, I'm going to launch this month, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. There is absolutely a place for, again, pivoting and moving with the market. If you have a failed launch, going back and making changes and shifts, working out what needs to be done, focusing on cash flow and what you need to do in order to do that. There's a place for having, like a banger of an idea and allowing that to come to fruition rather than just waiting for like next year or some arbitrary date that you set in order to do it. However, there needs to be systems and planning in place. And I always find that it's better to have a plan and make changes and tweaks to it rather than just winging it like a cowboy. Again, in the early days, you need that kind of grit and messy action to get started. Once you've had some success, things are growing a bit, there comes a time for streamlined systems and thoughtful planning in order to start reverse engineering your success, your revenue, your time, your free time, your team, all of those things. And if you want to reach the next level, it's a non-negotiable. So let's just do a quick recap. Whatever revenue you're at, if you've had some success, maybe you're at $20,000, you want to get more. You're $100,000, you want more. Whatever it is, you need to invest in ads, in mentorship, in growth. You need to see what others are doing from the inside and stop just looking from the outside. It's a giant waste of time to just sit in that space and not very effective either. You need to be a leader and not a follower. You need to start getting on top of your numbers and looking at them like a ninja. You need to be consistent everywhere, consistent in all the things that you do. You need to move with the market. And you need to replace messy action with streamlined systems and thoughtful planning. And if you are ready to take the next step, then definitely jump on the waitlist for the Well Conceived Mastermind. As I said before, make yourself known. Come and reach out to me on Instagram. If you're not sure whether it's right for you or not right, happy to jump on a call or back and forth with you on Instagram. Happy to just help you explore further what it is that you're looking for and what your goals are for 2024. So come and reach out to me at Robin Birkin. Happy to assist. But as I said, we actually have very limited spots. This time last year, we sold out of the mastermind. That's why I say get on the wait list. But then if it's something that you think you want to invest in, come and reach out to me on Instagram, because as I say, this time last year, the mastermind sold out. So that's all from me this week. Bye.
We are done with the meat and potatoes of this episode, but I am not letting you go just yet, my friend. Before you jump off, I have 3 quick things that I would love to share with you. Number 1 is thank you so much for listening today. If you'd like to hear more about growing your visibility through Instagram, podcasting, or Pinterest, creating or launching or growing your signature program, automations, or many more online business nuggets of gold, pause now, hit that subscribe button because we are here for you weekly. Number 2 is if you would like to learn more about working with us and joining our signature program, the Well-Conceived Mastermind, which is unlike any mastermind you've seen before, check out our show notes below and you will find all the links to join the waitlist or sign up and join the mastermind now. And number 3, lastly, if you do nothing else, make sure you come and find us on Instagram for daily behind the scenes and hugely savable and value-packed content. You will find us at Launch Easy Live. Well, that's it from me today. Now go out there and create your well-paid business and your well-lived life.